Tomas and Guy-Man came in and basically discussed what their idea was for these characters that they wanted to create. They wanted to be able to completely hide behind them and have the personalities be part of the musical experience as opposed to the people. Because it wasn't about the people, it was about the music. Tomas and I both have a film that we consider one of our favorites, which is The Day the Earth Stood Still. And that sort of became a starting point for his character. But the challenge was to create something that had a linear readout, that he could type responses to people onto his arm. Guy-Man was more of a vertical screen to work in, where we could take advantage of the length of it and have stuff run through it. But these are all ideas that came from Tomas and Guy-Man in the very beginning. They actually brought with them Cedric, Alex, and Martine, and I think it was either Alex or Martine that did some illustrations that mapped out the general proportions for both heads right off the bat. We took their head casts and some water-based clay and just sat around a table and started sculpting some stuff. They had sculpted ribbed neck collars and sculpted ribbed gloves. The character started out with hair, very much an anime-style robot. And once it all went together the first time, it was like, there's a lot of parameters here that we need to take into consideration to make all this work. The idea with Guy-Man's helmet in the beginning was it was going to be gold, like the NASA space helmets. But you can realize that you can't not see the camera. We needed some sort of a scrimmed surface inside that so that they could be invisible even if somebody was shooting a flash photo of them. In the beginning, the hand design was more of a glove that had interesting patterns and textures in it, and then the fingers on these being solid like this didn't allow a sense of touch as far as like dials and things went. So this turns into a spandex glove. When we got into Electromo, what was interesting is we were trying to eliminate the human actor from the performance. Guy-Man Wild's character takes his helmet off and you realize it's a robot underneath, it's not a person. And we did something very flat-faced that a person couldn't really fit inside. And then even with the hands, we went for hands that didn't have wrinkles or creases or any sort of joints. There was another version of the helmet that was created for that. We had to do like a whole town full of robots. By the time we got to those, the helmets had gone dark and all the electronics had been stripped out. The shape of the mouth changed on Tomas's. It went from a smile to a slit. There was a company out of Ohio that does the metallizing for the spacesuits for NASA. And in the beginning, we were having them do the first face shells. We actually engaged the man who designed the Jumbotron screens to do Guy-Man's LED readout. Self-contained in a really tight helmet means there's very little room to work in. So they had these sort of like spaceman backpacks and all these cables that went up to the back of their heads. Tomas and Guy-Manuel had this great idea where their entire wardrobe would be highlighted with the live wire used as the piping so that on a dark stage they would read as a silhouette that was lit up. What it meant though was that they had to have an all-black version of their robot selves. I mean, it would be so different now if we did it, but what resources we had at the time were fairly limited, fairly large. We started working with Tom Ugly and taking it like to the next level. How flat can we pack an information screen now? I mean, you can see the thickness on this is less than 1/4 of an inch, and we can get, you know, visual readouts on that now. At the time, it's like, well, these are cutting edge, and it's like, okay, that was over 10 years ago, not so much anymore. You never expect the longevity that something's going to have. It's always a nice surprise to see it continue to survive and people actually enjoy it. It's nice to see them continue to change it and have it evolve too.